right, 25 minutes before 11 o'clock. If you're giving up legal action for Lent, that's crazy. Anyway, it is, hold on, I'm trying to turn off all these microphones. Let's get a hollow sound in here. John Fuller is here. It's February 18th, 2015. The date is always important, especially when John is here, because sometimes he can't be here on Wednesdays, but he is here today, February 18th. If you have a question, a legal question, something regarding maybe a lawsuit or an accident you were involved in or somebody you know, this is a great time to call John and get some information from him. He is an attorney here in Ocala at the law firm of Fuller & Fuller. The show is called Legally Yours, and the phone number right now to call John is 622-9622. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Larry. Good morning to the folks that are listening to us. I hope everybody's doing well and making arrangements to stay warm tonight, from what I hear. It's supposed to be chilly.
Yeah. Freezing tonight.
Hot, balmy, rainy, chilly. We got a
little
bit of everything for folks. I think I'd like to start out the show today by giving a real shout out to our community. I was tied up last week in a court case, wasn't here, but in the last couple of weeks, we've had some really exceptional things happen on our local community scene, and I think it's great. I think there are a lot of people deserve a lot of credit for it. I heard the ladies PGA golf tournament was just outstanding and so good for the area. Got a lot of accolades from a lot of people who are
that was exciting that week, yeah.
World and nationally prominent. I'm not a golfer, so I can't say too much about the technical aspects of it. But everything I heard and the people I knew who were involved as working as marshals and whatever said it was extraordinary what exceptional athletes those young women are and how hard they hit that golf ball. and so that was quite a coup for our community to be able to have that. And then an area that is a little closer to what we do at the law firm of Fuller & Fuller in our practice involved the Nations Cup that was held out at the HITS horse show.
Right.
And that is a world-class event. It attracts international teams with the best equestrian jumpers in the world, the best horses, and that is something that is an exceptional coup for Ocala. And of course, Ocala, since Carl Rose, who was a friend of my father's years ago, started the first horse farm here in Ocala, Rosemere Farm, which is everywhere 200 is now, is where he had it. He had a Lime Rock business, and he discovered that because of owning the property that had a huge understrata of lime rock, that the pasture had greater minerals and calcium and things like that in it, which was great for thoroughbred racehorses. So he was the father of the thoroughbred racing industry. And growing up here and being a lawyer here since 1973, we have done a substantial amount of equine law, both for thoroughbreds, Arabians, quarter horse owners, hunter jumpers, dressage owners, people in just all aspects of the equine industry. We've done legal work for. And I want to congratulate the folks who were responsible for getting the Nations Cup moved from South Florida. You know, they have their winter season in Florida every year.
Are they going to be here all the time?
Well, it's only a 2-day event, and then they'll have others in other countries that will lead up to the finals in Barcelona, Spain later on this summer. But we have, it's always in the past been down at Wellington around Boca Raton. Boca Raton, I think, is the correct way to say it in past. And we were able to have it up here. It was an extraordinary day. It was a beautiful day for jumping. Ireland won it as a team. America finished second. And I just think it's a real accomplishment. And having said that, for those of people who may be listening, who may have some relationship or involvement in the equine industry. We have done equine litigation and equine transactional matters ever since probably the late 1970s. And it's an area that now that the economy is coming back and the horse industry is getting more active, you run into legal issues, and the law has changed.
Oh, wow. So
in some of those.
I wouldn't have thought of that. Yeah.
Well, for instance, if you own a farm and you are boarding someone else's horse and they don't pay you, there is a provision that is known as an adjuster's lien, and that body of law has been modified fairly lately. I won't get into the technical side of it, but there's provisions where you can actually do a summary procedure to sell the horse.
Oh, wow.
Or horses.
Oh, I wouldn't want that.
You are keeping, boarding, feeding, providing farrier,
Right.
blacksmith services, veterinary services, and the owner of the horse quits paying you. Well, what do you do? So there's a legal remedy for that, and it's changed a good bit. Other things that I would just put out for kind of a public service comment: if you have a horse farm, no matter what breed that you specialize in, whether you're in dressage, jumpers, hunters, thoroughbreds, quarter horses, Arabians, whatever your particular passion in the horse industry is, and you have a farm, whether it's a small farm, medium, big farm, there's a statute in Florida that provides that you should post in conspicuous places throughout your property signs under the statute that point out to anyone who comes on your property and engages in any type of equine activities that these are inherently dangerous activities, and that by coming there you recognize that there is a chance that you may be injured, and that you accept that responsibility by coming there. And if you post those signs, it gives you a defense if someone comes to your property and gets kicked by a horse or falls off a horse.
Yeah, I wouldn't want that. Yeah.
You know, and we've represented a lot of people who have had incidents like
Really?
that. We've represented a lot of people who have purchased an interest in a horse, and there were controversies that grew out of that. Years ago, when Marion County was more prominently known as a breeding area for mares and foals, which it now has kind of segued into a training area with some fabulous training facilities. I'm talking about thoroughbreds now. Then you have you have a situation of exposure there. And so most people, I think, in the horse business know that. But if you're running a small mom and pop operation, it's important that you take advantage of that protection.
One of the things we've never talked about. So
no, we haven't. And I was reading in the paper and looking online at what a wonderful event the Nations Cup was. And there's so many elements in the equine industry. Dressage is like a ballet between the rider and the horse. And a Grand Prix dressage thing is probably one of the most beautiful things that you will see involving the equine arts.
Yeah, sure is. All right, we do have a phone call. And by the way, phone calls are an important part of John's show. If you want to call, the number is 622-9622. Just to repeat, today's date is Wednesday, February 18th. So you know if you're listening to a live show or not. Good morning. Thank you for calling and for holding on. You're on the air now with John Fuller.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Fuller.
Good morning. How are you, sir?
Very good, thank you. In line of what you were just talking about with the liability of being injured near or in a horse area, this coming week at Daytona, we're going to have pretty much of a full week of racing, plus besides the 500. And every weekend here at our local racetrack, we have racing, very good racing that I attend quite often. You see along the fence line there a little sign that says not responsible for any injuries that may occur during the race, as far as maybe a car coming over the wall or a part of the car. And pretty much the same at Daytona. Is there anything you could do if let's say you're sitting in the audience and part of the car comes up and hits you on the head or whatever? Are you kind of like hand-tied?
No, like so many of the things that we have been privileged to talk about on this show, and one of the points I try to reemphasize is our legal system is not made up of a lot of static black and white rules. There's many shades of gray. I was mentioning this one particular sign in the equine industry because it's been adopted by a statute by the Florida legislature that if you post that sign, there is a presumption that you have placed the other party on notice of the potential danger, and if they assume that risk and go forward and get hurt, they would not have a claim against the property owner. Now, having said that, you need to understand that posting signs are not necessarily a cure-all or a force field that surrounds you with absolute protection. One of the exceptions is gross negligence. If you, as the property owner, even though you have a sign up, and I don't know anything specifically about car races, but you see a lot of signs put up, the individual assumes the risk of whatever activity, that sort of thing. Yes, those things are helpful to the property owner, and yes, they are important to have, but they are not a cure-all for every possible lawsuit that could be brought. One of the exceptions is if it's gross negligence. If, for example, you have a egregious situation where somebody is drunk and they fail to do something that they should to make the area reasonably safe so that the normal negligence doesn't apply, that could be an exception to that kind of a waiver or disclaimer. But it certainly is important to have it, and I'm sure at tack sales places, horse equine thing, you can probably buy them pre-printed now. When that law law first went into effect a number of years ago, I printed literally scores of them and mailed them out to all my equine clients with a copy of the statute and told them how many to place, where to place them on the property, and to make sure that they were highly visible, so forth and so on.
Which explains a lot of the signs that we see all the time. We need to take a little break. Thank you for the call. Your phone calls are welcome. The number is 622-9622. We'll take a little break and be back in 2 minutes with John Fuller. This is WOCA.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. Clouds giving way to some sunshine today. A breezy, cooler day with a high of 59 to 63. Then clear, windy, and much colder tonight. Lows ranging from the upper 20s in the coldest inland spots to 35 on the beaches. Plenty of sunshine, windy, and cold tomorrow. High just 49 to 53. For Friday, sunshine, breezy, and chilly. The high 54 to 58. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Let's face it, nowadays it can be hard to find American-made products, and that's something that Cabinet Sales of North Florida is well aware of. That's why they're an authorized dealer of Wellborn Cabinetry, family-owned and American-made since 1961. Cabinet Sales of North Florida is your answer for complete turnkey kitchen remodels and whole house cabinetry. Their cabinets are finished with solvent-based enamels for a long-lasting finish that's second to none. Available in an incredible selection of door styles and colors to choose from to turn your dream kitchen into a reality. In-house design and drawing services are available. Come by and see our displays for yourself at the Floors of the Villages, 3935 County Road 216 in Oxford, or Exquisite Design Kitchen and Bath in Bellevue, right across the street from the Bellevue Library. So whether you're looking for bookcases, kitchen, bath, or outdoor kitchen, Cabinet Sales of North Florida is your one-stop source of quality cabinets. For a free estimate, call 352-427-2647. That's 352-427-2647. Cabinet Sales of North Florida.
One of the most common questions those nearing retirement are asking, will I outlive my money? Retirement questions like these and many more will be answered every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. on Planning for a Better and Safer Retirement with hosts Francois and Julian Pozenet. Francois and Julian will help you put your retirement puzzle together. Catch Planning for a Better and Safer Retirement Saturdays at 9 a.m. on Ocala's News Talk, The Source 96.3 FM and 1370 AM.
Here's what you may have missed on the John Tesh Radio Show.
A show of contempt would be to say, what kind of an idiot can't even cook a simple dinner? That single behavior is so powerful it can be used to predict divorce with 93% accuracy. Here's another way to get back to sleep, and Connie uses this. Listen to white noise. You can try an app like Sleep Maker Rain, which is free for iPhone and Android. The new normal is to get a last-minute text at, say, 9 o'clock on a Saturday saying, hey, want to go see a band?
Intelligence for your life on the John Tesh Radio Show. Don't miss this stuff.
All right, 10 minutes before 11 o'clock. John Fuller is here. Your phone calls are invited, and the number is 622-9622. And, yeah, some things to be proud about with Ocala lately, huh?
Well, they are, and it's a pleasure for us on this show to be able to recognize that. And equine law is a critical area. There's not a large number of practitioners in this area that focus on it.
Really?
And we've been very fortunate in the past to represent Eclipse Award-winning breeders in the thoroughbred area. We represent some of the leading dressage farms here. Opalencia Dressage not only competes and shows horses, but they consult with people who are interested in investing or buying a horse for their own personal enjoyment.
Right.
And we have so many different breeds here, but this is an area, part of it with the horse park, which is getting better. I hope and look forward to their improving their arena flooring there for dressage shows. But we have some wonderful competitions in dressage around Orlando, here in Ocala, up in Gainesville, and we have some super talented people here. And the economy's coming back a little bit now. You read about Ocala breeders' sales, and you see the median price of horses. So what that leads to are first-time investors coming back. And like anything else, it's not that any system is flawed. If you get with a good person who has knowledge and character and integrity, and they're here for the long time, they can help you and advise you and even participate with you in investment in horses. And I'm certainly not an investment counselor, and I'm certainly not an equine expert from the standpoint of riding. But from the legal standpoint, it's important that you look at a contract for sale and purchase, and because there's a lot of things that go into that. Who's going to be entitled to control the vet care and the farrier that you use to take care of a horse's foot? I litigated a major case over a very expensive thoroughbred mare that had foundered. Foundered is laminitis, and it is a metabolic disease that horses get sometimes. And it causes the hoof to deteriorate so that in extreme cases, the coffin bone actually rotates down, and the horse in the last stages, horribly painful, is walking on a bone. And then there's disputes sometimes over insurance as to whether the horse needs to be put down or not. But I would definitely say to people, do your research. There's some fine Arabian farms here. Rohara is one that I have known those people for 20 years. Opalencia Dressage, Ms. Larkin, who has been in the horse business all of her life and specializes now in dressage. Dr. and Mrs. Hart, who lived here many years, and they now live in Virginia. But they were showing, Mrs. Hart was showing horses in Madison Square Garden when she was 16 years old.
Oh, wow.
One of my original clients when I was a young lawyer, not that long ago, but some time ago, was a gentleman who had a mare. He was hardworking, small operation, and he bred to a new stallion that was standing here in Ocala that was very inexpensive, and no one ever heard of the stallion. And the stallion turned out to be Mr. Prospector, who is probably one of the all-time great sires. He ultimately left Ocala and moved to Kentucky and was standing for a $400,000 stud fee.
Wow.
And my client bred a good mare to him when he was here in Ocala and went down to Miami and sold the horse at a 2-year-old sale for a huge sum of money. And that was many years ago. So our thoroughbred industry is so valuable to our community. It brings in thousands of dollars to restaurants, hotels. Just look at the traffic increase of dual-wheel pickup trucks that you see during hits. Yeah. And so we do that. We have done that for many years. And I would tell people, if you're interested in it, they don't call it the Sport of Kings for nothing. It's great joy. You need to know what you're doing. And the best thing you can do is, like anything else in the world, is find an ethical, professional person that you have confidence in, and use their expertise. See if they're interested in participating with you in the ownership of a horse. That's always a good way to tell if it's a quality horse or do they just want to sell it to you. Then look at the contract, because these contracts should be quite extensive. What you want to do is to try to anticipate what could happen in this relationship between the two owners and the horse ownership. And there's a lot of thought that goes into that, and those are things that we've done. But like most everything else, I'm not championing any people. There are many people out there, but certainly Rohara Arabians is one of them that's been here for many, many years. Showed at the highest level in that breed. Ocala Stud, when they're legendary in the thoroughbred industry, and Opalencia dressage, and there's many others in hunter jumpers that are here because we are now developing a national and world-class reputation. So be sure that if you are interested in that, realize it's like any other transaction and consult with someone who's knowledgeable not only in the business aspect of what you might be considering doing, but also for the legal aspects.
All the horses that are famous that came from here or had a connection to here, we should have a horse hall of fame. We don't have something, or do we have something like that?
If we do, I don't know about it. That would be a great question for the Florida Thoroughbred Breeders Association. I'm very fortunate, having grown up here and went to school with Bonnie Heath in the thoroughbred business, and used to go out to visit him when Needles just moved back to Ocala. Needles was our first thoroughbred winner. He was a very sickly foal, and he got the name Needles because Dr. Bronner, who was the dean of our equine veterinary community here for decades, they named part of the veterinary school at Auburn University after him. He went out and gave that little foal so many shots to help him survive that's how he became Needles. And he was the first. He won the Derby and the Preakness in 1956, and then of course we had affirmed in 78 from this area. And before that, we had Secretariat and Seattle Slough. So there have been 4 Triple Crown winners in a short period of time, and there hadn't been one before then until 1948 when Citation won it. And now it's been the longest period of time without a Triple Crown winner. And, in the old days, they used to run all those horses in all 3 races. Now you're finding people, they'll run a horse in one of them. And it is a grueling thing. The Derby's coming up. That's big time. I have been fortunate to attend with clients and friends probably a half a dozen or more Kentucky Derbies. And I still get cold bumps when I hear my old Kentucky home played. And one of my clients, a very prominent person in the thoroughbred industry, turned to me as it was about to start and said, just think, 80% of everybody in the civilized world is focused on these next 2 minutes right now.
That's right. That's funny. That is true.
The most famous 2 minutes in sports.
Sure is. Wow, what a great show today, John. What is your phone number?
You can call us at 352-547-4292. Our toll-free number is 855-534-2565.
All right. John Fuller, call us if you need John's number repeated, and also share the video with people you know so they can get some information, and maybe call John and maybe you have a horse farm and you need some horse legal work. Thank you, John.
My pleasure.
We'll be right
Thank
back.
you, Larry.
This is WOCA Ocala.
A million woo. People shivering the South, not getting a break anytime soon as the cold lingers. Some in northern Georgia being forced to go to emergency shelters after an ice storm brought down trees and power lines.